Welcome to the SparcStart TA Leader Series, where we talk to innovative TA leaders who have perspectives that we think are interesting, that are doing innovative things, and have something we think all of us want to listen to or think about. Today, I'm delighted to have my guest, Gail, join us, and we have a great topic tricked up. Gail, would you please introduce yourself?
Hey, Maury, and hi, everyone who's watching. So my name is Gail. I look after talent acquisition and employer branding. I work in logistics industry for 17 years, and I must say I live in 5 countries, so quite diverse. I'll stop right there.
And you've got extensive experience in employer branding and have been part of the talent acquisition organization for a long time. But one of the things that you've said to me is that you think retention is really almost the most important part of attraction. Can you I think a lot of people who are in employer branding and attraction feel like that's not part of their role. They don't need to worry about that. Why is it so big for you?
For me, I'm really passionate about the retention subject and therefore the engagement subject, right? I think it's so important that we engage and retain our talent because, again, you can do all the employer branding that you want, but the moment people join your company, it doesn't speak the same way based on what they read in LinkedIn or some rating management, then they will end up leaving as well. I think in any company, our employees or motivated employees are really the key to success. And they're also your biggest, you can say, employer brand support, right? Because it's through the word of mouth, it's through the recommendation of the employees that one can really say, hey, your company is a great place to work for all. And being the same company for 17 years, I can only tell you, all throughout the 17 years, I moved from one role to another. I feel so connected with the company. And I think people who stayed feels like that and they want to do more, they want to progress. And that's why it's so important to retain that experience, that you can say the level of standard that these employees can add on to the company, right? I mean, not to say that new employees are not important. Of course, they are very important too. All I'm saying is it's important that we retain the talent that we already have. And not to mention, in terms of cost, it's so much expensive anyway to hire new hires rather than retain our employees.
Right. And how do you make sure that you match that employer brand image that you're putting out there with your actual culture? How do you make sure those two things are the same?
Firstly, we try to be as genuine as possible, right? So our people agenda is part of our strategy in the company. We have so many engagement initiatives. I can give you so many examples, but for example, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. We have a learning program that really supports an employee from the moment he or she starts working until, you can say, the end of the career, right? So we do a lot of this. We have appreciation weeks. We have a lot of initiatives that really resonates with what we are trying to say, right? So if we say we're a great place to work, it's not only for the sake of saying that, but we truly walk the talk in the company, right? And you can ask each employee. Of course, everyone will have their own opinion, but I'm super confident that, majority of the people will say that, we try to take care of them. We try to motivate them, give them purpose at work. And that's why we get a lot of recommendation, and we also get a lot of application, I must say.
And how much do you use your employees in your employer branding? Do you use actual employees? Do you script them? Do you let them talk? How do you let their voice come through, or where do you use them as well?
So we use them in almost every asset, right? So if you look into the LinkedIn pages of our company, you will see it's actually the employees who are part of, the campaigns that we have. We encourage our employees also to rate us in rating management platforms. We have a lot of internal recommendation, the recommendation initiatives that they also find some people who wants to work for us. So they're really at the heart of everything that we do, I must say.
Right. Do you have a formal employee ambassador program?
Yes. So we do. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We do have, but sometimes the company is like too big. We try to look into global, but also try to act local as possible. So we operate in more than 200 countries, so that's a lot. We try to have some employee ambassador programs. On a global scale, but more often than not, language barriers, what's really meaningful for them in their own local countries. All these things need to be considered. That's why what we do centrally normally is give them the structure and let them implement it in their own country to make it closer to heart, to make it more meaningful. Rather than force it to be just global.
I love that, because there absolutely are changes as in terms of values and priorities and how people look at work. And getting that right is part of being genuine, right? You can't take one brush. That doesn't mean, hopefully organizations have values that are consistent globally. But how those values are manifest and what that actually translates to can be so different. It's really, I'm delighted to hear you say you're doing that. So if you had, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to say, I like the word you use, genuine. I always use that word as well, because, if you're not genuine in what you do, people will see through it, right? Employees will see through it. They will know fake from like miles apart, right? So it's important for leaders to really, be genuine in the way they approach and they recognize the people who work hard for the company to be successful.
So if you could give our listeners just one key point for making sure that the employer branding work they're doing results in retention, that they're not just attracting everybody, but attracting people who are a good fit and will be a good long-term fit, what would your one priority be that you would give them?
I think it's really about being honest and genuine with the type of people that you're looking for, right? Attracting the right people. I think this is very important. Attracting people not just for their skills, but if they also culturally fit in your company. I think honesty is so important, because as I mentioned earlier, we should, I see a lot of companies brand themselves into certain things that they're not. And then it ends up, they hire a lot of people, and within less than 90 days, the same people leave, right? So I think it's good to be genuine from the start. And I know there's so many challenges that we're facing in the business world right now. I can only really encourage all the leaders to genuinely appreciate and recognize the talent that we have internally. Grow your talent, because this, the motivated people, again, will help you go a long way in the success of your company's journey.
And I want to build on the idea of being honest with potential employees. And that means, I think, sharing not only the good things about your culture, but really giving people a realistic job preview, being honest about in logistics, you've got hard jobs to be done.
100%.
It's not all sitting around in air-conditioned, fancy corporate offices. There are people who are working really hard under all kinds of conditions, and telling people that so that they can make a well-informed decision. It's good for you long-term with your retention. It's respectful of them so that they can make a well-informed decision. And it really, it helps both sides. So the idea of sugarcoating it doesn't really help anybody.
I could not agree more, right? For us, usually we even invite people to come in to visit our warehouses before making the decision, right? Because as you said, it's not an easy job. It's a tough job. Obviously, we try to make their working environment as good as possible, but in reality, it's really physical job but also mental job. It's not an easy job, right? I have done courier rides all throughout my career. I am in awe how the couriers can do their job. It's really, I have the
Yeah.
highest respect for them. And going back to what I was saying, like we know that they have a hard job, so it's so important that we genuinely recognize that, right? So
Right. Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. Respecting candidates. Who
yeah.
thought that would be an efficiency play for business and doing
Yes,
that? Yeah,
respect and
wonderful.
results, I want to say.
I love it. So, Gail, I'm sure I could talk to you all afternoon. I'm delighted to catch you for a little bit. I know you're busy and I want to be respectful of your time. But thank you so much for your thoughts and for sharing with us this afternoon.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Maury. All right.
Bye.